Thanks, John. Honorable Premier, honorable guests, and peoples of Canada and of those of Dutch descent. First, I shall deliver a message from His Majesty King Willem-Alexander, King of Holland, House of Orange. This beautiful statue of Anne Frank has been donated with love by the Dutch community in Edmonton to the residents of the city and the Canadian military. It is an expression of friendship and one of gratitude. The warm bond between Canada and the Kingdom of the Netherlands lies in our common belief that human dignity is everlasting. Secondly, I want to read a letter from the ambassador from the Netherlands to Canada, the Honorable Anne Koppelies. She was not able to be here today, but she writes, "I feel moved and honored to be addressing you through this letter today on the occasion of the unveiling of the Anne Frank statue in Edmonton. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all who have contributed to making this statue possible. In particular, I'd like to acknowledge John Stobie, Frank Stolk, who have both worked tirelessly on this project, as well as our Honorary Consul, Jerry Bouma. Anne Frank's diary reminds us that liberty, democracy, and peaceful living together are values that we have to fight for. Anne reveals her fears and anxieties in her writing, and I quote, "At night in bed, I see myself alone in a dungeon, without father and mother, or I'm roaming the streets, or the annex is on fire, or they come in the middle of the night to take us away, and I crawl under my bed in desperation. I see everything as if it were actually taking place, and to think it might all happen soon. I simply can't imagine that the war will end and life will ever be normal again. I do talk about after the war, but it's as if I were talking about a castle in the air, something that can never come true." End of quote. We are incredibly fortunate to be able to live in this castle in the air today, in part thanks to the sacrifice of the many Canadian soldiers who liberated the Netherlands from Nazi occupation over 75 years ago. These sacrifices, a shared value of freedom for all people, and commitment to upholding the rule of law is the foundation of the enduring friendship between Canada and the Netherlands. It is my hope that this statue of Anne in the streets of Edmonton will help us remember that it is our collective responsibility to remain vigilant against threats to freedom and justice for everyone, and prompt us never to forget the atrocities of the Holocaust. Please accept my congratulations on the unveiling of this incredibly important statue. I look forward to visiting this likeness of Anne Frank very soon. So finally, a couple personal comments. As we reflect on this event, the liberation, this commemorative statue, and this young woman, it's easy for us, especially for those who were born after these events happened and in places far away, to view these events in a somewhat clinical or matter-of-fact manner. But let me put this in a more personal context. First, the Dutch people, who to this day ask this question: why did these young men, boys, from this place far away, Canada, come here to liberate us from our neighbors? Second, the Canadian soldiers, when experiencing the unrestrained joy of the liberated Dutch people, asked the question: why are these people so happy, so appreciative? We're only doing what is right, our jobs. Little did they know, or did the world know, about the darkness and the brutality of the Nazi regime. And finally, Anne herself, born in 1929, the same year my parents were born, who were liberated by those Canadians that came a few months too late for Anne. They would have been playmates had they grown up in the same neighborhood. Anne did not want to be here. She did not want to have statues built in her name, or songs written about her, or poetry. She wanted simply to live a life in freedom, and be completely unknown if that is what life would have brought her. But she met another fate, a fate driven by an evil force that now serves as a reminder how easily these forces can rise again. And I will end with this quote from Edmund Burke: "The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing." So today, let us commemorate the triumph of good people over evil, both the Canadians as liberators, the Dutch as the liberator, and the everlasting courage in the words of a good young girl, Anne Frank.